Hi there, I'm Julie Tam, managing broker of LYN Realty. Thank you so much for joining me for my weekly Wednesday video series, Smarter Real Estate. I hope you're well during this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. It is definitely a struggle and an adjustment. Today I'm going to talk about some of the latest developments in the real estate world in the Houston area and some of the ways that I have to change the way I do business, working mostly from home these days, some of the creative things that I've had to encounter and come up with in order to be able to continue conducting business. But before I dive into that, I do want to say that, for those of you out there who are lonely, who are really experiencing financial struggles and sitting here watching this video, that I'm with you and I hear you. Certainly for me, business is down as well. But I am counting my blessings and very thankful because I get to stay home in a very comfortable home. Living in the United States means we're already more well off than most of the world. And those of us who are, in the upper half of the U.S. population are doing even better. So I'm not complaining. There are certainly people who are being asked to stay home and they're weighing, the risk of contracting this terrible disease to starvation. So they're like, well, I'm probably going to die one way or the other. What do I do? I'm not in that position. I'm able to stay home comfortably and I have a family here in a stable condition. Some folks are experiencing domestic violence, whether it's spousal abuse, elder abuse, child abuse, or pets being abused, whatever situation it is definitely a very sad situation out there, and different parts of the world, different populations are really experiencing this in a different way. And so I have really been praying for those people who find themselves in dire straits in a time like this, because I'm not one of those people. Certainly this is difficult for us, but it's mainly because we're giving up luxuries that we don't normally get, or that we normally get to experience, like going to restaurants and just going out, and enjoying our community. For me, I'm an adult. I've lived a lot of my life. Certainly I have a lot left to live. But the thing that, for me, I've traveled to so many places. I've experienced so many things. I don't feel like I'm missing out so much. I've dined at, so many of Houston's restaurants, and from mom and pops all the way up to the high-end ones. So even though I do miss that, it's not like I haven't done it before. What I'm really sad about within our family is that my son, who's only 1 year old, doesn't get to play with other kids. He's not getting to go to his different activities. We had him very active. He had a different activity that he was going to a special place for, whether it was swimming or gym, play activities, music classes, every day of the week. I know that he is so young, he may not remember this, but certainly for me and my husband, it hurts that we can't let him learn and thrive in those ways, especially in the social settings of being able to interact with other kids and have that type of play, and using the equipment that they have that we can't recreate here. Even though I've tried, I've certainly been trying to recreate lessons and continuing to help him. We get into our jacuzzi tub and try to recreate in smaller ways, his swim lessons, but certainly it's not the same. And really missing that social component of playing with other kids is something that we can't recreate. Even though we do the FaceTime and Google Duo and Zoom, it's just not the same as being able to touch another child, to share a space, share toys, and do those things. So that's been tough, knowing that he's missing out on a lot when his whole life is ahead of him and he's missing out on these experiences. But, hopefully soon enough, we'll all get to return back to normal. Anyway, all right, let's get on with the business of talking about business. So, for this past, month and a half roughly, when Houston has been really experiencing this pandemic and followed by the stay-home order and all of that, certainly, I've talked about in previous videos how our office has responded. And for me personally, that means working from home most of the time. I still go out to properties, as you've seen in videos in recent weeks, to do the make-ready coordination, to do the post-move-out walkthroughs after tenants move out, and to do things like that. But other than when I need to be out and going to properties, I haven't really been meeting with clients much. Business has really slowed down in terms of new business. People aren't just flocking to me like they used to, like, I want to buy a house, I want to sell my house. A lot of stuff is just being put on hold. People aren't really sure what to do. So unless they have to make a move, they're staying put for the most part. But I will give you some examples as business has been picking up a little bit in the second half of April. I've had a potential client do a FaceTime call with me. They're looking to relocate to Houston from California, and they're looking to buy a home up to about $1 million. And so we talked about that and kind of the challenges and the creative ways that I'll have to be able to help them if I end up having them as my clients if they'll have me as their real estate broker. And in terms of, video tours that might be available for some homes, and for others that don't have it, maybe I go in to shoot the video tour. Maybe some occupied homes don't even want anyone in there looking, and so they're open to buying without even seeing the home in person first. And certainly if it's a home that will allow me to be in there, I will continue to take all the precautions, which I am following 100% to a T, of wearing the mask, of social distancing, of cleaning my hands before and after, and all of that. We had a few houses that have been on the market. One house has been on the market for quite a while. That one has just been a roller coaster. That house has been featured in a couple of my past videos. There was the Watson grinding gas explosion that happened literally the day the tenants were supposed to move in. And then we had to start from scratch to repair the house to get it ready. Then there was a chicken on the loose in the backyard that the SPCA and the constable office, the deputy from the constable's office, had to come to rescue the chicken and, of course, do an investigation and all of that, because it is considered to be personal property, an animal on someone's property. So before they would surrender it to someone to adopt the animal, they have to, give the owner a chance to claim the animal back. And then, of course, there's a court proceeding to follow, not involving us, this part, but just, that they have to take care of as officials. And so that home received hundreds of leads, was very popular before the gas explosion. And then after that, as we were getting it ready, all of a sudden the pandemic hit. And so leads really dwindled down. Instead of getting, dozens of leads a day, I was getting maybe a couple or sometimes even just one a day. Finally, we were able to lease it out. And fortunately, for $200 more, than before the gas explosion. I had listed it for $1,200 previously, this time $1,400, and we found some well-qualified tenants who are going to be leasing that home. So yay, bingo, one win. So that's at a slightly lower price point. Then I have a house in Katy. So that house was in Spring Branch. I have a house in Katy for $2,000. We got that leased out at full price as well. That one went pretty fast, actually. That's only been in the market for a couple weeks ish. I can't remember now, but and then got leased out. Then I have another one at twice the price, almost $3,900 price point in Rice Military, and that one was listed on the market only for a few weeks, and actually 3 weeks, and we had someone ready to rent it with excellent qualifications. And so there is activity going on, and people are going about it slightly differently, maybe a little bit more creatively. And so for us, I'm having our photographer take more detailed photos. So of a room, not just showing it from when you walk in the door, but going backward and showing it from a reverse angle, which he already was doing, but even doing maybe at another angle from the other corner. So you really get 3 or 4 pictures of each room from different angles, making sure to show every element of the house, every countertop, every appliance, not just, there's the fridge kind of at a distance in the background of the shot of the kitchen, but no, we want a full frontal, and we want specific closer up shots of things, because if people are scared to go into these homes, even if they're vacant homes, some people don't even want to go out with a realtor, for example, then we want to make sure they're getting as much detail as possible. I did have a listing for sale that I had to take off the market because it's tenant occupied. They didn't want people in their home at all. We just thought it would be really difficult to sell this house, and it would just sit even longer. Days on market would go up. It would look really bad. And so I advised my client, the owner, who agreed with me. This is a house that we manage as well as a rental, and we're just going to go and let it come off the market and put it back on later after the pandemic and everything has settled down, and hopefully have better luck next time. Right at the beginning of this COVID-19 pandemic, I had a different type of closing. I had clients buy a lot in the city of Bel Air where they're going to build their first dream home. I say their first because they do very well, and hopefully they'll build more dream homes after this. But instead of going to the title company, we actually did electronic signing. So they were emailed their closing documents, they e-signed, and typically title companies don't let you do that. Even if you don't go into the title company, you have to have a mobile notary. Let's say you're an out-of-town buyer and you're in a different city or even a different country, you have a notary public come and sit with you, you sign the papers, they notarize them, and then mail them back via FedEx, usually overnight, to the title company, and also email back the documents so that way the title company has them right away and can start doing some processes from there, and while they wait for the actual papers to come in the mail. So there's definitely some virtual and electronic closings going on these days. Okay, let me show you a little procedure that I do when I work at home to stay safe, because I deal with paperwork. Not everything's electronic, though I try to make everything as paperless as possible. But the papers that come from my office, I haven't even been working in my office at our office building these past few weeks. Maybe eventually I'll start to get back there, but I have a good system going on at home, so it works for me. Because of the papers that are able to be transferred back and forth, I can bring work home, and then of course do it most things via email, phone, and text and such, and online. But an envelope like this, and I have a few envelopes because they're going back and forth, brings home paperwork for me that comes in by mail and fax. People dropping off through the drop slot at our office. Our office coordinator is still working there. And so I get sent an envelope of papers. And then whenever I want to send things back to the office, I put them in this envelope. And what this does is this envelope specifically stays clean on the outside. When it comes back into my home, the exterior of the envelope gets sanitized if it touched any surface at the office. And then when I open the envelope to work with it, I realize that my hands from this moment on are now potentially contaminated. I treat everything as having coronavirus that comes from the outside of my home, because if you don't, then you get careless and sloppy and you put yourself at risk. So once I take things out of my envelope, I put them at a spot right here on my desk. It's glass, and so it's easy to clean. And I work with the stuff on my desk here. I don't spread things out and start to move things around and touch other things. No, there are only very specific items that I'm touching, so that way I keep things under control and I know exactly what I need to sanitize, so it's not an overwhelming amount of things, and I'm not missing anything. So this one area of my desk, which is literally enough for a stack of papers, is where I put these papers down, I write on them, I do what I need to do, and then I sanitize my pen at the end. Any paper clips that come off, I also sanitize those at the end. My laptop keyboard, I also have an external keyboard. I have a dual monitor system with my laptop and a separate monitor. I don't touch those monitors. I don't touch my laptop keyboard, which is right in front of me. I only touch the exterior keyboard and my mouse. And so, this tray that I have here, I'll just bend this so you can see, I will end up sanitizing all of this. And you don't realize until you start to really get in tune with, how your hands are moving, how much stuff you actually touch. So as I'm typing, you're supposed to have proper typing posture, but sometimes you get a little lazy and your wrists droop, right? So then your wrists start touching the keyboard tray, and then you're like, well, but when I stuck my hand into the envelope, I think my wrist touched the papers too. So now I have to sanitize the whole keyboard tray and the mouse pad. And then the mouse that has this little rolling thing, you have to go like this and sanitize all of that. What do I use? A cotton ball and this nice bottle of 70% isopropyl alcohol. And I just put it on and I just go to town wiping everything that I touch. But I've got a great system going because I know exactly what I've touched and nothing more. In fact, I've even gone to the point where if I need to staple something, my husband's been working also mostly from home. We work together in the same company. I'll say, hey, can you come here and staple this for me? Because I don't want to have to touch the staple and then sanitize the whole stapler. Touch the stapler, I should say. So I'll stick the papers in and he'll staple it. So then I only have to sanitize the part of the stapler that the papers touched in case there was any transfer of the virus. I have a really old archaic stapler, guys. I keep things until they don't work anymore. I like to be frugal like that, which is really a smart thing to do in times like this. So I have my safety net and I don't have to worry about finances. Same thing with my printer scanner. If any papers are going in, then I just sanitize the area. I'm gesturing over here because my printer's over here. The shredder, same thing. I'll sanitize the area that the paper touched when it goes in. So my house is saying virus free. If any virus gets in, I have no idea how it got in because we are literally being extremely, extremely overly careful. We operate like a hospital here. And of course, before I sanitize any of that, I first just go to the bathroom and wash my hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. And that way, when I come out, I can, sanitize things. And I'm very careful about this. I realize if I'm holding a pen and I start sanitizing, the part that I held is still dirty. And my hand is dirty because I touched that part. So then if I go shifting it to another part, now this part is contaminated. So I keep the pen flat on the table and sanitize. And then that way the top that's clean, I just touch that part and then flip it over and then sanitize the dirty part. And then continue from there. So that way, that pen literally gets sanitized from top to bottom. There's not one little small spot that we missed. And then I put everything in the envelope that needs to go back to the office for filing or to get transferred to somebody else to handle. And we have a very skeleton crew at the office. And like I've mentioned in past videos, we've really separated in staggered shifts. So only a couple people at most work at the same time. And there's a few hours in between shifts. So that way there's time for the air to clear, the virus to die down if there is any virus that's brought in, and it's just less risk of infection. And most of the folks that are coming into our office are wearing masks. They're definitely wearing masks if there's someone else working in the office at the same time. If you're alone in the office, you can just not wear a mask, even though we prefer it. So that way it reduces the level of contamination on surfaces. But certainly, those who are at the office at the same time, usually it's only about 2 people, at most 3 people at the same time, they're wearing masks when they're at the office. And so, yes, when I step out of my house, I am wearing a mask. And when I go into vacant homes, as you've seen in past videos, I'm wearing a mask. And I haven't been in an occupied home yet during this pandemic. And so we'll see when the next time is that I might have to go into one, but it'll be the same procedure. So I hope you guys are following these procedures and just listening to the health officials who are telling you the real deal, how to protect yourself, because this is no joke. Young people are dying and getting extremely sick and really damaging their organs and their bodies as well. And so we really all want to stay safe and healthy. I wish you all the best and thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and follow me on Facebook and YouTube, and just continue to watch Weekly Wednesdays, this Smarter Real Estate video series. Bye-bye now.